Kevin.
Hello, Michelle.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm really excited to talk about this episode.
Me too.
I got weird with it though. I you know how sometimes I can get a bit obsessive? Well, I didn't think it was going to happen with Letterkenny, but it kind of did.
It has. It's taken hold.
I did something weird. I watched the whole episode with the script in my hand.
That is weird. You're entering superfan territory.
I know. And the thing is, I have access that nobody else has access to. So I was like, I checked all the moments that are improvised. I looked at like background song stuff. I did like a lot of extra work here in a way that was creepy.
Enjoying the power of having the script in hand, having that access. You like that power, don't you?
I don't. I mean, that's one way to look at it. I really didn't.
What are you, half American?
Oh, God.
Edit that out. Don't edit that out.
No, I didn't see it as power. I saw it more as like, oh, I could just look this, like, it was during the moments when what did it for me is Mrs. McMurray jumping on top of McMurray and like humping him. I was like, that can't be written in the script. So I looked it up and I found all the scripts from Letterkenny and I was like, wow, I know now.
Is it written in?
You know what's written? McMurray and Mrs. McMurray celebrate. That's it. That's all that's written on the script.
That's great that she read celebrate and then somehow it turned into, I'm going to go on a limb and assume that Dan suggested this interaction and then Mel is just game and fun and they just.
I don't know. Mel's a freak.
She is a freak. She is a freak. But I'm sure they rehearsed and figured it out. And we're like, let's just go full sexual.
They're both wild. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think a lot of people have sent us messages being like, especially after the Christmas episode where we're like, oh, Roald and Stuart are the only kiss. They're like, well, the McMurrays have to kiss. I think this is why they think they kiss.
Yeah.
Is this
that
energy?
Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Jared hopefully will come on and we'll pepper him with questions, including this one. But I remember talking to him about like why there's no intimacy at all, really. Like there's no genuine kisses or anything like that. And he was just like, because it ruins comedy. Anytime, and it's just like a personal thing for him and it's probably quite true, but anytime a comedy tries to go sincere, especially a comedy like Letterkenny, which is just so joke forward, it really takes the audience out to have kind of like a human intimate moment, which makes perfect sense.
Yeah, it feels very forced in like a cartoonish show like ours.
Yeah, like in my head, Letterkenny, all of us, we don't have genitals. We're like Barbies.
Just smooth. Everyone's completely
smooth. Yeah.
Oh, it does free you from that horrible moment in every sitcom where the character gets so serious and they're like, well, and I'm like, oh, no. I don't need to see you like this. No.
I don't want to see you shut your eyes, tilt your head, and slowly lean in. I don't want to see anyone do that. Yeah. I really don't want to see Letterkenny characters do that.
Your voice drop half an octave while you're delivering the line, get really quiet. Anyway.
I've just been thinking about you a lot.
Imagine Stuart earnestly doing that to Katie.
I really can't. She would punch him in the face, and that's why it could never happen.
She would box kick him in his smooth genitals.
Box kick him in his smooths.
In his smooths.
Ew, I hated that I said that.
I liked it.
Oh, yeah. This, okay, before we get fully into the episode, I want to discuss your mustache.
Oh boy. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I was talking to my father on the phone and I was looking in the mirror and I just started cutting my beard with scissors just out of like, I don't know. Like, I was just like, I want to control something in my life.
Right. Because your dad has all the control.
Well, it's just more like, it's just like.
Because he's the alpha.
Oh, brother. Well, I mean. You've obviously never met my father, little drama boy that he is. But we were chatting on the phone and I just started like song. It's kind of like when you do bangs for no reason. Like you just, but imagine boys can just give themselves bangs with no worry that it's going to ruin their life.
Whereas bangs on girls can ruin their life?
If they do their own bangs for a period of 4 to 6 weeks, they will feel as though they have fucked up dearly. I might cut my beard off on a whim and I'll be like, what are you going to do? Like, it's not like
you can always just continue and shave it all off if it looks... Yeah, stakes are lower. Stakes are
way
lower.
But it's still some control, still some element of control. So I trimmed off my beard and then I was like, well, I guess I have to like make it look like something. So I made it this like kind of gross, long handlebar mustache, posted it online. Everyone insulted me within second. Yeah. You're saying as if obviously.
Well, I saw that. No,
and it was
I
pretty
stood
bad.
In solidarity with Alana, hyping you up immediately, which I thought was, and she's your wife, the most important. I mean, that's who you're listening to.
Yeah, I guess the problem is she doesn't give a shit how I look. So
as you've mentioned,
so taking her opinion into account, I'm like, oh, you're not actually looking at my face. You're just like, Evan's having fun. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But isn't that all we should really be focused on at the end of the day?
100%. But then Jacob Tierney writes, no. So all I did was I trimmed it down a little bit more. And then when I came back out of the washroom again, she was like, you look like a hockey player.
I like it. Like I'm looking at your face. I like a little bit of the long hair coming out the back of the hat. And then, it is you look like you play, I don't know any of the terms. I think I've heard the boys say this,
Left
junior
wing?
A. Is that a real thing?
Yeah, sure.
I know as much as you. And it's just in my head and now I'm saying
I feel like junior A means I'm like 16 years old, but
that's kind of what you look like.
I do look young.
You do. And you just sort of look like you just started and you're excited about it. So you've grown out your hair and you've done a mustache.
Boys are so proud of their mustaches. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Like Movember stuff. Remember that? That's not really happening anymore, is it?
I mean, I think people still just do it and then kind of blame it on Movember. Like they'll just grow a mustache and be like, but it's like, you're not collecting donations for prostate cancer, I don't think. Pretty sure you're just growing a mustache and you're kind of embarrassed, so you're like covering it up.
You're trying to be like, no, it's for a good cause, but you actually love it.
You love it. Are you kidding me? Back in high school, the boys who did the Movember stuff, and it's so funny because like those weren't mustaches. Come on.
No, they were just like a little puny twig across the lip.
Do you like a mustache?
Again, I'm indifferent. I don't know. Okay. It depends on the face. Like I think it can be nice. Some people look better with facial hair.
Not a lot of people look better with mustaches though. That's a rare guy, I think.
Really?
A mustache, a beard, I think everyone looks better with a beard.
Okay. So I think a mustache is good for somebody who has a really thin upper lip. It can kind of full out. It can create more balance. So I've seen a person with a mustache where you're like, wow, that's like, what a proportioned face. And then it's off. And then you realize just how thin the lip is. And that can be a bit jarring. Same with if you've got a weak jawline and you grow a beard, it really does help balance the face. So it just depends.
I have a strong jawline and a thick upper lip. So
you've got very beautiful full lips.
Thank you so much. But I'm going to point this out now and you're never going to be able to not see it. I have like a gap between my top lip and where my mustache starts growing hair.
Right. Yeah, I see that.
I look like John Waters.
Okay.
Like unintentionally. Like I'm not trying to do this. I wasn't like trimming this smooth part. It's weird when you see it.
It's working though.
Thank you.
I don't know.
I'll just take it. I'll take it and run with it.
Yeah, I like it a lot more than if you had told me about it before doing it, I might have been a bit more hesitant, but I actually really like it.
I did do this one season of Letterkenny, like season like 4 or 5, when we were just doing whatever we wanted and letting Jacob get mad at us. I did grow out like kind of a cowboy mustache and then grew up my facial hair a little, and no one said anything. And for just one season, Roald has a fucking cowboy mustache, and it is the weirdest. Like going back and seeing those clips, I'm like, what did I do?
Why?
Like, why did I do that? Like,
well, hey, if no one said anything, it's like no news is good news. So
I mean, but that's like, you wanted to dye your hair blonde that one season, right? Like, isn't that part of the shebango? You just do whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, I kind of was like, I want to dye my hair bleached blonde, like full Khaleesi style, which it never fully went. Because
was it because of Game of Thrones? Is that why you wanted it?
There was some inspiration going on there. But then I was like, I also think Katy should come back because the way that it worked was she went away to be a model in the big city. And so I wanted her to come back with like a city element, not just her coming back with
it was that models. Or a short bob, like an asymmetrical bob. Cut. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I was not. My head is too small, as we've discussed, to really carry a pixie cut. But a bleach blonde was fun. Although, unfortunately, like I don't think the hairdresser, 'cause she was obviously afraid of torching my scalp. I don't think she left the bleach on long enough, or we should have spaced it out. We did it all in one day, which is a big no-no I've learned. And so it kind of lifted to a yellow. So on camera, it looks a lot brighter and whiter than it actually is. In real life, it was urine colored.
Is that what it said on the bottle?
Yeah.
Yes.
Piss blonde.
Piss blonde.
And it was, yeah, I didn't love it. I wish that it had been full white in person, but it does read nicely on camera.
Yeah, I remember thinking like, wow, what a look. Like there's some really distinct moments and looks that like really divide the show and like really between seasons. And that's one of them. And I think it comes up next season 3, right?
The winter, no.
Is that not
No,
it?
I don't think so. I think it's I don't know. No, I think we've got season 3. And then season 4, I think, is the winter season.
You know what? We're going to find out, you guys. And
we're
we're
so going to find out.
Now that we're Letterkenny's biggest fans, we're never going to forget once we... Well, hey, again, I was looking at the script today. Another cool thing that I wanted to just point out when I was going through this script, it's the blue draft. Everything's the blue revision, which is, for those of you who don't, know what that means, the white draft is the original. That's the first draft of a script. Then it goes blue, pink, yellow, green, goldenrod, buff, salmon, and then cherry, and then it doubles. Blue is literally one person has looked at it and made some changes.
Right.
That was most of the Letterkenny scripts.
That's actually a great point. The trust they had, the network's trust. I'm wondering if that's the era too, and the fact that it was just like, it was a perfect storm of being able to actually creatively do what you want. I'd love to have Jared on here to speak to that and how it's maybe changed for him now, or if it has, because he's so proven, and now that he's doing Shoresy,
I bet they let him do whatever he wants on Shoresy, yeah.
As they should. But I think that was rare because he hadn't made something before. So to have that level of control, I mean, even what Jacob was saying about how like they had written a script or an episode where the network was like, yeah, great, go off.
Yeah, they like, self-regulated.
Yeah, they're like, this will ruin our reputations, and it'll stop the show in its tracks, so we're not going to do that, which is wild that a network wouldn't have flagged it.
Yeah. I mean, again, maybe it's that like they had other fish to fry at the time. They were worrying about their other bigger shows where more money was put into them. Yeah. So they were kind of just like, you guys, you made your web series thing. Just keep doing your thing.
People like it.
Yeah, we'll see if we get another season after this. And then they're like, then they're offering him like 5 seasons at once. Like it was like,
it is a good, and I feel like I've probably said this before, but let creatives be creative. We are
what a weird concept.
Like it's crazy. We're in such a creative drought. I feel like we're coming out of it. I've been getting some auditions where I'm really liking what I'm reading for the first time in about a year and a half. There's obviously like always good stuff out there, but it's felt a bit less. And the stuff that I've been seeing has been a little lackluster. But the last couple months, like I've seen some great films. The Substance, Baby Girl. Right. Have you seen Baby Girl yet?
I haven't seen it yet. That is Nicole Kidman, right? Okay.
It's so good. And the score is probably the best score I've heard in years, ever. Oh. It's so good. It's so, so good.
That's awesome.
I love it.
I have score stuff to talk about in this episode, by the way.
I bet you do.
I bet you do. But first, I wanted to say, have you seen The English Teacher? Have you seen the TV show The English Teacher on FX?
This is crazy, but no. And it's
You'd
like,
love it.
I know, it's top of the list. I know. Well, I love
he's so funny.
Brian Alvarez. Yeah, Brian Alvarez. I love
Brian Jordan Alvarez?
Yeah.
I want to say is his middle name.
I like his yoga teacher character with the bob.
I don't even know that one. No.
It's really funny. He has so many characters.
I didn't know anything about him, and I just started playing the show, and I was like, what is this genius? Like, it's so funny. The characters are written so concisely and so quickly. Like, again, it's dialogue that we're familiar with, that go, like, Letterkenny, Gilmore Girls, just like high-paced dialogue. And you're just like, oh, yeah. Give me more. Like, they don't dwell. It's just so nice.
Yeah, I really want to watch it. We just started watching Severance. Have you seen it?
Everyone's loving that show. It's hard for me to like pick up a show that's like the number one show ever.
Right, because you're alternative. Yeah.
I'm alternative.
Well, you have a mustache now. So you can't be like that on the nose. You got to go back and watch some like weird art house films for a while.
I'm not like the other girls. You're
listening to Aphex Twin.
Is it Aphex Twin? Is that really what it's not? It's not Apex Twin?
No.
Is it Aphex?
Aphex
really?
Twin. Mm-hmm.
Wow. In my mind, it was always Apex Twin.
Which also like isn't actually an obscure reference. I used to think
popular.
that, yeah, it's like everybody knows him. But back in like when I've discovered him, I thought it was really cutting edge. I read a Pitchfork article. Like, come on.
You wrote a Pitchfork article?
I read, Evan.
Oh. I was like, Michelle, we got to go more into this.
That'd be a weird thing to keep secret.
I believe it for sure, though. Like, if you had some history as like a blog writer or something, like I wouldn't be that surprised if you had a cool blog that was kind of like, you know, only 4 people saw, and then you never wanted to talk about it.
Pitchfork.
Yeah, it was called Pitchfork.
Yeah,
this is a little thing you've never heard of.
It was me all along. I just love music. I got a lot to say.
You're the music gal. You're the one.
Yeah, thank you. Because I do remember you said to Tyler that he was the music gal, and it really pissed me off.
I really regret saying that. There's a lot of things I regret saying to you.
Piss me off.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Also, I wanted to the don't piss me off.
Yeah, on the don't piss me off train.
That is one of my favorite Jaredism/Wayne-isms of the whole entire show. That is when people ask me like, what is the one line from Letterkenny that you love, that you think is funny every time, that is in my head. It's no, he barely says this. I think he says it once to Derry, but Derry does something kind of stupid as Derry does. And Wayne looks at him and goes, don't piss me off. And it's such a like tiny thing, but it's become a big part of my personal life. So a friend of mine will do something annoying and I'll go, don't piss me off. And I love it. I
can't even place that in the show at all.
When it comes up, and it will, I'll flag it and we'll have a big celebration.
I can't wait. We'll have a Don't Piss Me Off party.
Yeah.
That'll be the episode.
Perfect.
I can't wait.
What else, Ev? What's going on in your week? What have you been up to? What do you want to share? Anything? Everything?
Rather. What else is going on in my week? What else do I want to share? Who am I in this world? God.
Yeah.
You know what? I've just been excited to get back to like feeling energized and working. I don't know what it is. I'm writing more.
Too. Yeah.
I'm just like feeling like, you know, I'm getting to the coffee shop every day and I'm putting in the work. I don't know.
Good. Good for you. What are you writing right now? If you don't have to give specifics, but
what am I writing right now? Good question. You know what? I'm writing a show that I think is a really funny idea. You know, Judy Blume, like just you know, Judy Blume, you know, the Judy Blume novels.
I don't think I do.
I basically took this name and changed it to Judy Doom.
Okay. Perfect.
And it's sort of like it's a U of T based paranormal show where this young woman who's TA at U of T, and her father is a professor there who's always on like archaeological digs and isn't there. So she like lives on campus, like in a tower. She is investigating paranormal crimes in Toronto with her pals. And it's kind of like a Buffy meets Sherlock type fun, you know, episodic. Here's the big bad villain. And it's always someone who is represented in a unique way. Like let's say some kind of landlord ends up being a giant shape-shifting cockroach, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like the people in our society that cause, you know, this, and then we have like, I think for the pilot episode, I'm going to pitch it as like a therapist is turning into everyone's worst fears and is like, and tearing people
like the thing
apart
in
from the inside.
Harry Potter.
Like a boggart.
A boggart.
Yes.
Bogart. Bogart?
I think it's
whatever.
Well, they're British, so it's hard to know how their pronunciation is. Like no one knew Hermione was that how you said it right. For the first 10 years we read those books. Nobody was like, Hermione. No, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I'm writing right now, and it's really fun. And hopefully I can just finish a pilot of that and then start, you know, throwing it in front of people's faces. It's always fun to write something.
Good for you.
Yeah.
And good for you for spilling so much.
Should I not do that? Is that what we're supposed to do?
I don't know. I don't know.
Maybe aren't supposed to.
I don't know what the rules are really. I think like, I don't know. I think you get to do whatever you want. It's like
That's
now
true.
You've put it out there. So it's basically like you have the patent. Like you can always, we'll have a timestamp on this. So if somebody steals it, we'll be like, well, we were already, this has been documented. Sorry.
Sorry. What are you working on these days? I know you're a writer as well. Are you doing something right now?
Well, I just had a showbiz meeting this morning, Ev, at 9 a.m.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Yeah, a meeting about showbiz.
Can you tell me about it?
I mean, it's a little bit of a secret.
Oh, wow. So she has secrets, but I have to tell you everything that I've ever written in my life.
You offered
to
that
go into my
willingly.
diary. Unbelievable.
That's on you, mustache.
This is a one-sided relationship. Always has been.
Hey, Ev, no mistake, big mistake.
Okay. All mystique. Wait. Damn it. Fuck.
See?
No mistake.
You can't argue it.
Wait, no mystique, big mistake. I'm pretty sure I did say something like the opposite once, and I thought it was so clever, and now that I can't think of it, I'm the dumbest boy in school. No mystique, big mistake.
No, it's, I can like, whatever. I'm working on my writing partner and her name is Kayla Lorette. She's one of my best friends. And she was actually on an episode of Letterkenny, and we'll have her in. Yeah, she's the funniest individual and the best. So yeah, we're developing a couple of series and getting ready to shop them. And we also have a really weird idea for a movie that, it's anyways. But yeah, we had a meeting with our producers this morning, and we're gonna.
How weird are we talking this movie? What level of weird? Is it more perverted, or is it more like gross? Or bizarre?
It's not that bizarre. I think it's just, I sort of wanted to write a rom-com because I miss a good rom-com.
I love rom-com. Yeah.
But then give it a bit more of like a new aged twist.
That's kind of what you have to do, because as soon as you start writing a rom-com, you're like, this is so melodramatic. You have to add like a goblin to it.
Tropey and kind of and formulaic, and most things are, of course, especially like everything has been written already. So how do you find originality? It's very difficult.
Totally.
But we kind of anyways, whatever.
Every rom-com turns into a horror movie at this point. I feel like you can't write a rom-com without it just becoming a horror, because you're like, well, this is terrifying.
Yeah, or it has to be like not about two people figuring it out, or like it has to like have something.
Who are put at odds against each other. He's selling the house and she doesn't want him to, and she's writing an article and she doesn't want her to.
Yeah, it's just, anyways, blah blah blah. It's really nice. I think for me, I work better with a team. Like, I like writing alone, but I can find it pretty isolating, as the majority of writers do. And so working with Kayla, who's obviously, well, I don't know. No one listening might know this, but I don't know if you know this, Ev, but Kayla's a really established writer. She's working for a long time. She's like,
that show they did with Crave, Eden.
Yeah, New Eden. She's like, she co-wrote, partially developed the new Tall Pines show. She was like the head writer.
I didn't know that. Oh, that's amazing. With Mae Martin and Sarah Gadden.
Yeah, and
there you go.
Anyway, she's amazing. She's very, very talented, and so I'm very lucky to be working with her, because I'm a newer writer, and we work really well together.
You're a great writer. Yeah, I've always liked everything you write. Everything you put down, I'm like, oh, look at that.
Really? That's
cadence.
So nice.
Yeah, I've always felt that way.
I feel the same about your writing. I'm also impressed with everything you write.
We're allowed to be proud of each other. I'm proud of you.
And that's friendship. And that's genuine friendship.
Okay, I've taken it back. We're not one-sided.
I know. What the hell, dude?
I take it back. I'm sorry.
This mustache has kind of made you like sassy, like a nagging goddamn hockey player boy.
No, I'm. God,
don't ever take that on. Although I'd like you to play that in a role one time. You could play such a good douchebag.
No one ever lets me play a douchebag.
I know.
I want to play a douchebag.
Well, when I sell one of my many projects, I will cast you as a douchebag, a fuckboy, as it were.
Ooh,
wouldn't that be fun for you to play a fuckboy?
Yeah, it would be fun.
Just channel your grade 8 self.
I will. What's up, girl?
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
I think you could do it. So that's what's going on with me in the writing world. But yeah, I agree with you. It feels a little bit more like creatively flowing. I'm obviously worried about the world. We're recording this the day after the inauguration, and it's an interesting episode to be watching during this current political climate, not only in the States, obviously, even though we're not American, although Evan kind of is, but in Canada, when there's a lot of changes and a lot of horrible shit talk in this way that feels so lowbrow and bizarre, that I was like, oh wow, what a poignant episode for us to watch during this time.
It really points out how unhelpful a lot of the discussion around politics is. Yeah. Like, and how in Letterkenny, the way it's handled, like, even though Wayne loses out on his position, the way that he went about his campaign was the right way.
with integrity.
With integrity.
What a concept.
But then he also loses. Like it's such a true. It's such
because human nature.
Yeah.
Oh, we're all the worst. Anyways, it's been kind of boggling my mind. I feel scared. I feel. Well, okay, no. I feel aware. I don't feel scared because that doesn't help. Being worried about the world doesn't help. You just have to be informed and figuring out ways to stay informed and ideally move forward and do what you can do. But we're in weird times. So for anyone feeling stressed, I'm there with you.
Yeah. I mean, the election episode is a nice segue into it for sure, just because it's so funny. It's so when you go back and see what they're making fun of, that Justin Trudeau commercial.
I know. Well, shall we start? Should we get into season 2, episode 2 of Letterkenny?
Season 2, episode 2 of Letterkenny. And it's a pretty, honestly, very funny, iconic episode that kind of pits McMurray against Wayne in a very specific way. And it's a lot of good stuff going on in this episode, I gotta tell you.
Yeah, I love this one. I feel like I've said that every time. I'm like, oh my God, I really like this show. But I do, and I'm continuing to like it more.
Do you have any thoughts about you interacting with Devin outside the dollar store?
Okay, is that where we're going to start?
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Yeah, I love this scene. And I feel like it was a nice... I kind of wish, selfishly, that Katy had more sparring conversations just in the show in general, because I had so much fun with it and working with you and Devin in that scene. I remember it really well. Like, I remember this day very, very well. I remember rehearsing it with Devin, Alex Jordy. And yeah, it's like, I don't know, it's just like a great little scene. Camilla's there, you pop in.
It was a great scene. It's very fun to see that passive aggressiveness. And as I was reading through the script today, it literally just says like they're having a passive aggressive conversation. And then you guys basically informed the rest of that, the shape of that scene, which was gnarly, like just working off of each other. And then the introduction of, the skids, like this is kind of one of the first, again, we're getting more and more into like the skids establishing themselves as like outside the dollar store, dancing in sequence. Like this is really establishing them as this thing. Yeah. And once again,
crop
it just says,
dusting, establishments, businesses, small businesses. All it says is
Devin and the skids dance outside the dollar store. That's all that's in that thing. So from there, we had to get everybody organized, and if anybody needed an idea, it'd be like, okay, so you're over here and you're dancing like this. Like we did have some of those, which was fun, and it's fun to see that in retrospect. Be like, okay, it's a little choreography going on here.
As the resident dancer, were you, did they give you, I'm assuming they gave you a lot of creative control to direct the skids with the dancing, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of, it was quite funny because we just started out there and then kind of it just defaulted to me because somebody would be like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Or like, I want to be, do you have any ideas that I could like throw in here? I'm like, yeah, for sure. So then it kind of defaulted to that, and it was really, it made it so nice because then all of a sudden and this is from the first episode, we're kind of in this like weird quintet, like separated just the right amount so you could see everybody as if we're in formation. So it always kind of, you had to be doing something. You had to be doing something. You had to be doing something different than the other person. You can't hide. Yeah, you can't just be like leaning in the background doing nothing.
Although Alex's choice, I don't know if it was his choice or if you were, it's a really fun, so after that interaction where Katy kind of dunks on him in the end, he goes back to the wall and he's like leans against the wall, kind of head down, and then rolled is sort of dancing but pacing and very stressed, because your whole thing is to be so emotionally in tune with your leader. So whether that's Stuart or Devin, and your whole happiness, your body movements, this is what I'm picking up. I don't know if this resonates with you, but I could see that, and it was such a like great nuanced choice, if it was in fact a choice, where you're like, you can't be having fun unless your quote unquote leader is good. Like your whole life depends on these other people that are higher status than you. And this was a great example of that.
I'll take it.
It was really funny. It read really well.
I do remember doing that walk and being like, we are defending this area now. We are. I was like, this is so weird. This is so
But you
weird.
look so stressed.
Actually, we're supposed to be sitting in the next scene and delivering all those lines to the to Mr. and Mrs. McMurray from a seated position. And we're not supposed to be having that kind of like super confrontational thing like that we end up having for some reason. But they ended up shooting that. I think they block shot it. Like after you left. Everything. Yeah, it was like you left that day, and then we got Melanie and Dan in there, and we just kind of picked up exactly where we left off, and I'm like lighting a cigarette, and then and this is another great line. It says, "One skid does vape tricks." Doesn't even specify who. It literally says one skid does vape tricks, which leads to then like Pat becoming the vape lord skid. Like there's a lot of tiny little moments that happen in the script that are just 1-2 words, and then that informs like 13 seasons of a show.
Yeah.
And then Dan comes in and he's like improvising like thing 2 and stuff. And there's no mention of me doing like the Kubrick stare at them. And then Melanie's like, make him stop. Like none of that's in there either. Like they really just like, I feel like Mel and Dan in particular really got to run away with it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I sort of assumed that a lot of it was in the script, and maybe, I don't know, maybe there was another iteration of the script that had more things kind of in it, but I don't know.
Think so. I think I looked it up. There was no pink version, no yellow version in my
crazy.
Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Crazy. Can I take it back a little bit?
Sure.
So we start off with the 3 hick guys. They're in the barn, and they're sort of talking about this idea of social, like doing good deeds for attention instead of just doing it for, and that's what kind of informs the whole political tone of this episode, and like where Wayne stands when it comes to this stuff. And so that's kind of where it starts off, where it's like, are they talking about potentially trying to take over? Yeah. They're talking about like
I think they're just talking about doing charity for the sake of charity versus, because he's gonna, they start with being like, okay, you should go do something charitable since you're the boss. He's already the boss. You should go do something charitable.
Yeah.
And then you should take a picture of it. And he's like, why would I need to take a picture of it? Why don't I just go like mow somebody's lawn? Like, and then like, no, if you don't take a picture of it, you didn't do charity. Is essentially it. And if you don't snap a chat, you poop in a hat or whatever the fuck, whatever they're talking about.
Whatever the fuck that is. Right. So that's kind of like the seed is planted that, that's not how Jared, God, I keep calling him Jared.
I don't blame you, to be honest.
So similar.
They're not that different.
They're really so similar.
They're a bit different, but it's mostly just the way they dress.
Yeah.
Like Jared only wears Adidas, and Wayne only wears this like weird plaid shirt from H&M.
He wears Adidas, a white tee, a jean, Adidas sneakers.
Oh, Jared dresses like a guy from Train Spotting, and Wayne dresses like, I don't fucking know, a guy on the back of a oat box.
The guy in, what's that, King of the Hill?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's where it starts. And then we go into like the meeting, right? Where Devin, no, but I'm just trying to I'm trying to get this in my head a little bit.
So basically the shape of the show, the shape of this episode is that they go to town hall and McMurray is like, I'm going to run against you as Ag Hall.
Yes, I'm going to, because we haven't had a proper campaign.
Yeah.
Basically.
So then now we have established that there is going to be 1 week to decide who ends up becoming the Ag Hall leader. Like I don't even know what they call this person. Yeah. And immediately McMurray enlists the help of the Skids, which ends up being Devin and Rold and the rest of the gang because Stewart is no longer with them. So we get this really weird campaign, which is based off of the Justin Trudeau 2015 smear campaign from the Conservatives. Yeah,
which for Americans who didn't know, this is verbatim what happened. They were like really making fun because everyone, when Justin Trudeau came into power, it was very like, which we've weirdly discussed before, how hot he is and how great his hair is and how young he is.
It's like, but he's so inexperienced. Does he have any experience being prime minister? It doesn't say so here. Who
cares about his nice hair? Like they were so triggered by how hot he was. And like he was every girl's crush and people were like posting kind of thirst trap. I remember my friend Bran posting this picture of him doing like a handstand.
Oh God.
Like, oh yeah, it was very that. But yeah, there was like, yes, it's a smear campaign and Devin and Rold are in charge of McMurray's campaign. And so because Stewart is still, enemies with them, he tries to approach Wayne to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I will say the Devin and Stewart, or the Devin and Rold portion of the campaign where we're wearing those heart-shaped glasses hats, and the scarves and whatnot. There is a whole scene that's removed before that where Devin is getting angry at Rold about craft. There was a whole sequence where he's like, go get me a burrito. What is this, soup for Kraft? Like, he's very upset. He's like, there better not be cheese on it. I'm lactose intolerant. So he's yelling at Roald to go do these things. And then the scene starts, and that's why Roald's holding a burrito. When the scene starts.
With no cheese. Oh, there was cheese, but he took it off, and that's why he gets slapped out of his
So when he so he's holding a burrito, like, it almost feels totally out of nowhere, but it also makes total sense, and I see why they edited it like that. But one thing that always comes up on forums and stuff is like, I don't get it. Is Roald's first name Tad? What's Tad Roald? And this is like a joke that's established in that first scene that got removed, which he's the training assistant director, which is not a thing. There's no such thing as a training assistant director. You're just assistant director. Like the fourth AD is a fourth AD. So yeah, that's what Tad is, training assistant director.
Training assistant director.
It's just a good bit. It's funny. It's a little inside, but it's funny. And that's probably why they took it out.
Fully, you're training. You're just training. You're simply training.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they do a good job at, like, I mean, it's certainly not subtle with just how
brown guy sit over there,
brown guy
talk
and
like
go
Quickie
and go
Mart,
be like, and then even just like these jokes where I'm just like, 2016 was a different time. It's pretty.
No, I don't know that it is though. I think the whole thing is that he's being a piece of shit. Like, I don't think we're to go like, I agree with him. It's like, I think you can make that. No, I just mean I think you can make that joke now. It's just all in the context of how you do it. It's like, this is a meth head being like, brown guys sit down. That's wrong. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, is that how I'm supposed to talk to people?
Yeah.
I just mean, like,
imagine if that's what I meant.
No, I know. I just like, I every time I hear the whole like, well, in 2016 you could get away with different stuff, I'm like, I don't think so. I think it just has to be good. As long as it's good, you can get away with anything. That's how I feel about comedy.
But that did shift, and I think now we're like because we have more awareness now through.
I don't think. Do you think the awareness would have changed this scene though?
No, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, it's just very. It's very well done. It's very on the nose, and it's kind of no holds bar. And it's like, I'm saying I don't know if a network would have been
as brave like, to allow this joke.
That's what I mean, because it is very. It's just it's saying the quiet part loud.
See, I feel like it's more so you're saying it's more like the network's issue rather than like the audience's issue, because I feel like the audience the audience 100% always gets it.
Well, and the audience always also knows where it's coming from, and it's either coming from a shitty place or it's coming from a good place, and this is coming from a very aware good place.
Right.
But I'm saying, like with everything in Letterkenny, we had so much freedom in this way that allowed our audience to actually consume it in a way that was use their own discernment. And
I got you.
And I think that's really cool. I think that's important.
Totally.
And I think it's really funny.
So shout out to the network for being so chill back then. Hopefully still able to do some of this kind of more obvious humor. I would when he's like, you're pretty dialed in already to Tanis's dad.
I know. That's like, kind of what I'm saying. It's kind of like,
God.
Wow.
Well, you're pretty dialed in already. And also, now the second appearance of Tanis's dad, and maybe the last. We still don't know, but I'm pretty sure this is the last, but I'll never say anything like that again.
Yeah, well, we're watching with fresh eyes.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Great scene, though, overall. Very funny, and obviously getting Glenn in there.
Yeah.
To show, I mean, where's my money, bitch? And doing the whole, as the
sucking on a popsicle, staring deep into your eyes. Rolled.
I always thought part of the joke was that Glenn, like, we never know Glenn is actually gay.
And we don't.
But we still don't, I guess, because it's like,
it's just very implied.
It's just very implied. He's deep throating that podcast. Mm-hmm. Sorry, popsicle. I said deep throating that podcast. Wishful thinking. I know. Oh God. It's good. It's a good scene though. And he did improvise that he's got nice hair though. And then her also going nice ass too.
I didn't know that.
Gaylor does nice ass. Yeah. Was both learning the script. I'm telling you, this reading the script thing is getting weird. I'm just learning so much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's very good. It's very on the nose, and these types of campaigns were happening in real time when this was written, which is also really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if Americans didn't realize that Canadian politics can also be kind of like sleazy in that way, they sure can.
They're sleazy, but it's also sleazy in like the most
PG way.
PG,
like,
boring.
His hair isn't that
Yeah.
nice.
He's not that good, is he? It was like actually shot at a school fair on like the shittiest camera you've ever seen. Like I will never forget the feeling of being like, wow, we really don't have any money for anything.
For anything. Are we okay?
God, this is horrible. And then they cut to obviously Wayne and Stuart trying to get Wayne to
participate.
The same kind of campaign, a smear campaign.
Yeah.
And we get a couple moments in this conversation that I think are to be noted. One being the original line is, "That's likely the least concerning thing on your hand, eh?" When Wayne says that, and he's talking about stuff in a sense. It used to be "a" at the end of the line, but he changed it to "isn't it?" And I think it's worth noting that we probably don't say "a" very much in this show at all. And it's a very important thing in my mind, because I'm like, that's what's always been so distinct about Canadian television, making fun of Canadians.
Right.
Is being like, we say "a" lot. We love maple syrup. We love beavers. And like Letterkenny just doesn't do that.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
We don't do that. We don't do the mooses. We don't do the beavers. We don't do the fucking "a." We don't say a boot all the time.
Yeah, we don't.
We take ourselves seriously a little bit, even though we're the fucking goofiest people on earth.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and it's also just showing Canada from actual Canadians' perspective, where we're not trying to like placate to anyone and be like, look at us doing that thing you guys always say we do.
Yeah,
I don't say, but I'm also from the West Coast. In the West Coast, we don't say "a," we say "hey," which is like very like Valley Girl almost. It's like, that was cool, hey.
Well, I'm from Southern Ontario, and I don't think I say "a" either.
You don't say "a"? I don't think I've ever. Have you? We don't say that.
I don't think anyone says it. I think it's kind of like,
it's a bit passé.
It's a weird, it's just like it's a thing you see on television. It's like, the Red Green Show and stuff is not an accurate depiction of how Canadians speak in general. Also, there's so many, like you said, West Coast, like Canada's massive. We have very different backgrounds all over the place, right? Like, you ever heard somebody from Newfoundland talk? They don't.
Yeah, they sound Irish.
It's another planet. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really like Tyler's costume in this.
Yeah.
By Tyler, I mean Stuart.
You liked it. You were into it.
Yeah. I thought it was really cool. I like that he is also dressed like sort of a cinephile in a way. Yeah, and then we also we kind of check in with the hockey boys. They're now playing with this new team. They're not having fun. They're still kind of dealing with a Bartski for whatever the whole thing.
Yeah, with the senior hockey boys. So
that's nice.
Yeah,
and then I guess we sort of go into. There's a vote. They go back to the egg hall, or did I miss a whole thing?
No, I mean, you're pretty well. I mean, that's pretty much the. Yeah,
they go back to the egg hall,
and then they
do the vote, and then they're shocked that they've voted McMurray back in, but it's because of the video, and it worked. The smear campaign worked, and unfortunately, Tyler went behind. Oh my God, Stuart. So unfortunately, Stuart went behind Wayne's back and created a smear campaign video without him really knowing.
Yeah, and we get a look at the smear campaign video, and I will say,
you sure do.
It is amazing. It's an amazing smear campaign. I guess the one thing we kind of missed is that when he's trying to get them to shoot Wayne's smear campaign, the bunch of you are lined up and like kind of not being helpful at all, which is funny and very like, the girl's gone wild and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's a very good bit. It's very like nice, weird framing of him up on the pedestal looking down on the Hicks. Like, you've never seen that before. Like, why are you guys even listening to this fucking guy? And you really aren't. You really aren't.
No one is.
And hockey has a whole other scene there, which is also removed, which is interesting. They had a whole sequence of like a back and forth with hockey's a lot like acting, bros. Apples and apples, boys. Like, and they go back and forth for quite a while.
I remember them shooting that. Whoa.
So they must have shot it, and it got removed from the final cut. I have it all. I have it all here. It's very interesting. There's a lot to it.
I guess maybe it wasn't good enough to stay in the show.
It's pretty funny stuff.
I meant their performance.
Oh,
I was trying to cause drama.
I imagine
trying to cause drama, and so then they'll have to come back on and defend themselves.
They have to defend themselves. I think probably what happened is the show is only ever allowed to be like 23 minutes or whatever. And so this was a really long sequence, and you guys are just standing there, I guess. And because of the fact that they filmed all this B-roll, where they basically probably had to choose between showing Stewart's movie, which is all B-roll, like the wada, or showing hockey's like. Critics are a lot like hockey parents, but like doing this like back and forth thing. And you can tell that like they would have nailed it. So I do hope they can come on and show us what it was all about. And then so we actually do get the video at the end, and it's the Carl's Jr. portion of the ad. You shot that with Teddy Kim, right? Yeah.
So it's the like Paris Hilton did a Carl's Jr. commercial where she's like sexily washing a car and eating a burger at the same time. And then
all the sudsy hands on a burger. Yeah.
And we created it like pretty frame for frame. Like I think he was referencing, well, he was obviously, but like even when we were on set, we were kind of going back to that.
Were you watching it and being like, oh, she does this?
Yeah, I've got to like channel Paris Hilton.
That's so funny. Oh my God. I'd love to like put those two next to each other and see like how accurately you did it. Did you have to actually bite the burger? You did a real, wow.
Yeah. And we shot that after a full day of shooting as well. So it was a long day, but it was fun. I mean,
was it kind of funny because you knew it was such a weird off the cuff, like,
I kind of was, because the way it's written in the script is that Wayne takes the phone and watches it on the screen, and we see over his shoulder him watching it on the screen. Maybe that's just I didn't read it right or something, but I didn't realize it was going to be. I thought it was going to be shown in like small, which is naive.
So you really gave it your all, thinking I have to make it big and perform to be
I think
seen.
I just was like, this won't be as embarrassing because it will be smaller.
I love that you didn't know because it ended up so good. Like it really is.
And not only was it just like fully shown on in the episode, it's also just like its own separate clip now on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh shit, I didn't even know that.
It's out there for everyone to see forever.
Yay, the things we do.
The things we do. Yeah, but it was fun, and Teddy Kim, shout out, because he always does great stuff.
Do you know if he shot the rest of it too? Like the McMurray's a piece of shit stuff?
He did. Yeah.
Wow, because that's one of the most iconic lines in the show. Like people quote that at Dan probably
constantly.
More as often as Camila gets the Bonnie McMurray. Like I'm sure the McMurray's a piece of shit. That he doesn't really have social media, so he probably doesn't get the same level of feeling about it. He's probably just like, whoa, that happened. I don't even remember that.
He just gets it in person. Even better.
In person in his like 5-person town that he lives in.
Yeah, so that smear campaign video is very funny. The What's Up stuff, which I didn't know what that was.
You didn't? Oh my God, I knew that commercial the second it started. I was like, you guys kidding me? It's just funny. It's the whole episode is references to other stuff. Like it's such a weird really pop culture episode, and it's just so
It's very topical for the time, for 2016.
Well, it's almost like not topical even for that time because everyone's going. It's not 2015. Like everyone, like even the What's Up commercial was from like 10 years before that.
Oh, it is? See, I don't even know, when was that from?
An ancient Budweiser commercial from like
2000?
2000, yeah.
Great. Okay.
And then they make fun of it in Scary Movie 1. And he starts stabbing them with that.
Right.
You remember that? Anyway, this is one of the weirder episodes of Letterkenny because it really does feel like almost sketch. Like we see a couple sketches throughout it, which you don't really get.
Yeah. And then, because that video is so weird and has a very unclear and like tasteless message ultimately, which is the exact opposite that of Wayne would have wanted. It makes him lose the election. And then, again, we learn a really valuable lesson that taking the high road, even though the other smear campaign wasn't really the high road, it was higher than calling somebody a piece of shit. There are levels to this.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I would have voted for Wayne just because it was nice to see Hockey and Stuart getting along. I thought that was really cute. They were in their houses together, laughing and joking, and I was like, "This is so nice."
Bridging the gap.
He's bridging the gap. Yeah, that's it.
I really liked this episode. It was really good. It was really funny. Yeah, it was great.
Only other thing to mention about this episode is the song that randomly gets mentioned by Wayne in A Perfect World, Primitive Radio God song that plays. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it never actually plays in the episode, but he mentions it as he's pulling the lawnmower out of the back of the thing.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? It's just complete non sequitur. He mentions it. Mm-hmm. The last line of the script is in a perfect world, that Primitive Radio God song would play.
Who says that?
It just says it in the script. It says it on the page. The last line of that song would play, like that song would play.
As the callback. They couldn't afford it.
They couldn't afford it. So they played some random, guitar.
Or it didn't get cleared or whatever.
It didn't get cleared, something like that. I know, but it's such an interesting...
That would have been such a great button.
It's such a great button. And that's how deeply like he was thinking about the like music throughout the show. Like he always was referencing or coming back to like putting the music actually right in the script.
Yeah. When I first got the scripts and I was trying to like imagine scenes and tone and like how they would have wanted it, he would have wanted it to feel, he always put a song reference that told you everything you needed to know about the vibe. And like as soon as I'd listen to the song and read the script, I could completely see, especially the more I got to know Jared and like his taste in general. But yeah, that was like such a great like frame of reference for all of us to kind of know exactly, especially the party scenes, or like the thing that's coming to mind is the scene when I go into the strip club and meet Dirks for the first time. And it's like, if I read it without the song, it sort of reads like this kind of romantic moment, but the song element kind of, the one that he chose, it sort of ties in the tension between the Hicks and him, and that it's a little bit darker and it's a little bit more like her breaking free from her brother's control, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. And you'd never know that without the song reference, because you could interpret it all sorts of ways, because you never know when it's going to be like maybe a little bit more earnest, maybe a little bit more serious. And then all of a sudden you get that song reference and you're like, oh, I know what I'm supposed to be doing differently here.
And feeling and I know what the audience is supposed to be experiencing. And it's just, hey, for two writers, this is something we should be keeping in mind as we write. Honestly, though,
I do put a lot of music in my. I think maybe it's because of working on Letterkenny for so long, I imagine. But I think of my stuff lyrically as well. Like I did this movie that I wrote, Sourdough, and it's like it's got all the songs listed in it of like. And they're all Toronto. I kind of also pulled this from Keys. They're all Toronto musicians. Like basically everything that I can think of, I'm like, okay, Metric's over here. And then like in my mind, I'm like, that's what I hear when I think of Toronto. I think of this music. Like it's it informs so much.
It informs so much. Yeah.
So much.
Yeah. And I mean, I definitely, when I'm thinking about, I have like 10 songs for the pilot that Kayla and I wrote together for the show that we're really excited about that, God, I can't talk about it yet. But it does like, and I have got a little playlist, and when I'm trying to develop the lead character and I'm going to be playing the character, the music has informed so much of how this character thinks, how she moves, what she likes. Anyways, this isn't a very original thing to say, but whatever. It's just music is so informative. Well, I love this episode. I think this is a standout for me. It's also just not to bring it back to politics, but that's what the theme of this episode is. So I'm going
that's what the episode's about. Yeah, you're allowed to do this.
But it really does show the moral compass of the show overall, again, in a way that is done like in a very smart way, which isn't heavy handed. I would say this is like a little bit heavier handed. It's like, but it's done in a way that you don't feel like annoyed that they've done it. Like it's still very much just about the jokes, which is always fun.
Well, I feel like the subtlety of this episode comes out in the fact that it's like that, like, yes, it's heavy handed what his opinions are, his moral code is, but he also still loses. Like that's the subtlety of it, is being like he should win. Like at the end of the day, like because of his moral compass, he should be the egg hole president, but instead we get McMurray. It's kind of like a funny,
couldn't be more on the nose.
Yeah, and I think a lot of shows tend to do like fantasy fulfillment for people, and Letterkenny does do that, sometimes, but they also kind of are a bit realistic to so and this is an example
they show
of that.
Human nature in the way that in all of it, And there's a lot of great things in human nature, and like looking out for your neighbor and helping out. Like when Jim Dickens comes back,
I love that.
Like I love that button just to be like, you know, you helped me out. You didn't like, I didn't hear about it somewhere else. I just like know that you did that. I saw that you did that.
Oh, that's the real win.
And I'm going to come back and pay it forward. And that is the real win. That is the humanity that we all should be focusing on.
And if only they could have played that primitive Radio God song at that exact moment.
It would have been perfect. But it was still perfect to me.
Yeah, it's
I
a
love
great
this
button.
episode a lot. It was really great. Yeah.
I wonder if that drives Keeso nuts that they couldn't get the song.
Probably. I bet it does. And I bet if he's listening to this episode, he's going, yes.
He's going to send a text like, fuck.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's annoying. I mean, it's like when we've already talked about it, but when Taylor Swift wouldn't let us use that fucking song. And
there's no way she had any idea about it. It was like her team is just like, well, that'll be $30,000 to say tubble, tubble, tubble. Yeah. And so, you know, because her team is so used to saying that, it's like there's not a ton of due diligence on their end, I imagine, when it comes to like, they just say no.
But it makes me kind of like eye roll in her direction, and that's
but that's because the team she's assembled is a very tight team.
I know, but that team needs it. People need to chill out, and again, support smaller artists, and we are a way smaller artist.
Totally, but she is like her own Disney. She's her own company. Billion-dollar company.
It's just gross to me. I'm grossed out by billionaires, Evan. Can you fucking tell?
No, fair. That's totally valid. Okay, Michelle's pissed before she goes full proletariat riot.
Literally.
I'm going to move over to Spare Hearts.
Thank you.
And I picked the questions this week. I have two for you.
Thank God.
So we'll start with one and then we'll go to the other if you want, if we got time.
Yeah. Okay. Last week was, I don't want to talk about it for too long because we've done enough damage, but I was so...
You were rattled.
I was also just like that nap. I'm going to blame the nap for me. It really put me in a weird headspace. And I think like when something is sort of dark and it catches me off guard and it's too sincere, I'm sure a lot of people can relate, but the way I laugh, I cannot control
the giggles. It's like sleepover giggles. You're like, oh no, I'm not allowed to laugh.
Sleepover giggles.
I was fucking losing my mind. I couldn't even handle. I was like, oh God.
Such idiots. All right, let's get into Spare Hearts.
Spare Hearts.
I'm excited.
Me too. We are going to start with, we're going to start with this question because I think it's the kind of goofier, easier to kind of bat around. Okay. So this question comes from a very sleep-deprived fan of the podcast. She lives in a small apartment complex, and one of her neighbors has a luxury car that's been modified, and it's super loud as humanly possible. She has taken to calling him Max Verstappen. I don't know. It's a pun about Max Verstappen, who's an F1 racer.
Okay. A deep cut.
So he's a fake F1 racer. He thinks he's an F1 racer. It's so loud it rattles her walls, and he starts it around 1 to 3 in the morning every other night. And for perspective, this car is parked 30 meters from her bedroom. And the property manager says it's not illegal, even though it technically is, as any vehicle noise above a certain decibel is not allowed in idling in Washington state. And she promises this is not the kind of person you can approach to talk to, or she would have tried by now. She says that you have to think of the most negative stereotype that exists of a human being. He is this guy. He yells at animals and kids. He's generally loud and off-putting. He's insulting anything that moves and often criticizes his girlfriend loudly in the parking lot while vaping in her face. The dude is the worst. And she says, do I become that neighbor and get a sound level meter and install a Ring camera and report them?
Yes.
The answer is just straight up yes. I think you need to do something diabolical. I'm not saying slash tires, but like
my brain went to slash tires.
Put a rotten fish in his, if he ever leaves his window open slightly, just slip a rotten fish in there. Something like really fuck with this guy.
I know, but I'm going to assume that he has cameras.
Yeah, he probably does.
This is the type of
and he seems violent.
Yeah, Well, this is, first of all, great details. You really painted a picture. I feel like I'm viscerally there. That this is so deeply disrespectful. This guy deserves to be reported. Like it's not like he's just kind of making some mistakes that are really affecting other people's life experience. And like maybe there's a world where you could find a happy like middle ground. But this guy just seems like an asshole who wants to be powerful. Your best course of action, especially when dealing with a man, is just trying to like go the legal route. The only thing is that if it doesn't come to fruition, then he's gonna know it was you.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like that might be just like a risk you're willing to take. There is a world where you could
paint his car a bad color.
No,
dump a bucket of glue.
I'm going a different direction. Ev. Ready for this?
Shove a potato in his tailpipe. Go on. Okay, go on.
I'm talking using your girl power to fawn in a way that could be a first approach. So we've talked about with Jacob. Remember, there's like fights,
I know, but I don't think I would ever even want to let this person know that I'm onto them. I don't think she should even interact with him.
But I think you're going to be found out anyway.
You think so?
Potentially. Okay, this might be really bad advice, but potentially, you slap on some lip gloss. Please don't get me in trouble. You go over and you go, hey, like I'm a da da da. It's like we're neighbors. Blah. I just want you to know that this is happening. Is there any way that we could be like, or is there a reason? Like, why is he starting his car? Does he work shift work?
I
like,
will say this person, given the fact that she wrote, I promise this is not the kind of person you can approach or talk to, and then criticizes his girlfriend loudly while vaping in her face. Right. I'm like, if he's going to vape in his girlfriend's face, he's going to he's going to be the worst person to talk to. So I think if like realistically, you should probably report this person. I don't know about ring camera and level meter. Like if you do invest in a ring camera and level meter, I guess you'll have evidence to show the police, especially if you like accumulate a bunch of stuff. But that will go to court, I guess. Maybe you can say you're afraid of being found out, or you don't want to create some sort of, the American system is so bizarre. Like I feel like you could just call 311 here and they would give him a ticket for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like I feel like somebody like this is going to be hard to, because they're arrogant.
He's a piece of shit.
He's obviously a dick. So I don't know, man. This is tough. Like I always feel like trying to appeal to somebody's better nature. People, and by people I mean men, love to be a hero. And so if you can somehow,
you think that this guy can be won over through his like exertion of power and then be a good guy?
There's potential. Oh, wow. I don't know. There is potential. I just think like it might be worth just trying to level with him human to human. You never know. You just never know. And you can just vibe it out. So
he is a human being at the end of the day. I can't believe you're the one who's on the side of him being a human being. I'm like, get another. I can't believe it. Get another car that's faster and stronger than his car and race him for pink slips and then destroy his car after you win.
I just
train
think,
for 10 years. Yeah.
I want this girl to not have to deal with this. So I'm genuinely thinking about like the best course of action.
I mean, could she just get earplugs and stuff? I don't know.
No, because then he wins. It's also just like, I bet she's kind of like, this is a personal vendetta against this like,
fuck this guy. I hate him so much.
Brutal guy. Yeah. I would try to have like a really civil, you come in with respect, you kind of try to like meet him on human level and just see what the vibe is. You never know. It's going to make you feel a little bit less, more like ethically superior to then if you need to report and be like, well, I did my due diligence. I did try to have
but then he'll know that you reported him.
He's going to, who cares? Sure. What's he going to do?
I don't know. He sounds like a piece of shit. You could plant cocaine in his car.
Plant cocaine in his car.
Get him arrested. Get close to him.
Put it in the tailpipe.
Put it in the tailpipe.
Okay.
So this is even more expensive than a ring camera probably, but still it's worth it if he goes to jail for a while.
Yeah, I would.
He's probably committed a crime.
Yeah.
If you're vaping in a woman's face, you've probably committed a crime. Let's be real. He's probably a bad guy. He's probably a bad guy.
Okay, I'm just like, you know the vibe of this guy. I'm sort of, I guess, I don't know why, I'm picturing like a guy who's like 60 and angry at the world, but 60? Not 60? Yo,
this guy's 25.
Exactly. Sure. But see, now that I'm like thinking about it more, I'm like, what if he's got like scary tattoos and he's wearing a little black tank top and he's like,
definitely wearing a little black tank top
and he's roided out. Like,
but he calls it a wife beater and he
exactly.
This guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah. And if that's his vibe, and to the person writing in, you're the one who knows that, I would just be that bitch who gets the little noise. What is it?
She said it's like a sound meter. Like she wants to get a sound meter.
Get a sound meter. If it's not too expensive, get a sound meter.
Them.
Oh, I wonder if your neighbors feel the same way. Maybe there's a world where you guys can all pitch in. Form an alliance. Yeah, form an alliance or get some sort of like petition because there's power in numbers.
That's true. There's power in numbers. And honestly, you say small apartment complex. I too live in a small apartment complex and I'm on the board. And let me tell you, the board takes things seriously.
Oh yeah.
You can get a group of people together and very quickly have, especially somebody like this, like he's not just fucking up your night, obviously. If it's 1 to 3 in the morning and it's a small apartment complex, he's fucking up a lot of people's nights. So I bet you have a lot of allies in your camp.
What is he up to?
He's up to no good.
He's revving it, or is he
he's going to the Dairy Queen parking lot, starting it at 1 in the morning.
That's crazy. Yeah, it's like,
and he's playing music.
He's looking in his mirror and he's going, "You're a big man."
Yeah, and he's doing the, brushing his mustache, his pencil thin mustache. He's brushing.
Ew. Yeah, I don't like this guy. I think you have every right to defend yourself. So I would, vibe check if there's a world where there's a conversation could be potentially helpful, or just report him.
I like your positivity here, but I don't know if he was doing that.
Was that positive?
Kind of. Worst case scenario.
I'm like going and manipulate him.
Yeah, I guess so. The worst case scenario. Get Michelle and I down there. We'll fucking kick this guy's.
We'll kick him in his box.
I'll kick him right in the box. You get the front box. I get the back box. Same time.
A double. A front back, as we call it in Canada. Okay,
that's what we always call it.
That's great.
Amazing. And now I have
great question.
Great question. Thank you so much. I have a second question that it's much more. This is a question for you more than anything, but I'm going to read it to you, and you can tell us what you think here. Okay.
For me, okay.
It's more to you. I think you're going to be the one who's going to be able to help a little bit more in this case because it's specifically about your good qualities. Okay, so. This person has been a fan of Letterkenny for a long time, and they just had a super soft birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Happy super soft birthday.
Happy super soft birthday. And her partner have very similar jobs and work together. And they both collaborate on many, many projects. And the problem is when they go out to events or gatherings with people who are friends of both of them kind of thing, she's kind of just left standing there as they compliment him on his good work. And when it's time to congratulate them on like a big project, it's always like, you did a good job. Like you did a great, and it's never you two or you guys. And it is a male dominated field, and she's not sure how to navigate it anymore because she feels like she's always put in a box and no one seems to understand that she's good at what she does or trust that she knows what she's doing. And she's trying to ask, how does she tap into her Katy Confidence, like Michelle's character in the show, and really let them see her?
Okay.
I know this is layers to it, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, my like first knee-jerk reaction is like, why isn't your partner redirecting?
Why isn't he vouching for you a little bit here and there? Why isn't he going like, yeah, no, it's actually us? Or like,
or be like, oh, thank you. Yeah, my like partner, she actually like headed up this, and that's how like, why isn't that should be happening?
Yeah, he definitely plays a role in this for sure.
Not that you need your partner to but
it'd be nice to be celebrated by your partner.
It's also just normal. Yeah. That's what normal people do. So the fact, if that isn't happening, I would be pretty pissed, and that's something to maybe look at. And then for yourself, I think it's so tricky because it's really hard to be in spaces where somebody's getting a compliment and then you have to be like, no, I want a compliment too for my good. Like it puts you in such a weird position. And I kind of feel like the most confident people say the least. Like I think I would honestly have a discussion with your partner and be like, I'm not gonna go out there and grovel and try to like prove my point. I'm going to be continuing to doing the work that I'm doing. But when we're in situations like this, you as a man to other men have the ability to do the right thing. It makes you look good. It makes me not have to do it in this way that like puts me down further and makes me look like I'm trying too hard, which is the opposite of what I want to be doing. I think that would be like your first approach. And then I don't know. It's like,
well, it takes a level of confidence to do that, to tell your partner that that's what you want from them. I think that's a good point, is that you're,
and you don't need them to be like, I think I'm just like weirded out that he isn't doing that naturally. And so to have to tell somebody to do that for you also sucks, because then can you trust that they're going to do it the right way that has power behind it and confidence, so to speak, behind it? I don't know. It's a really tricky spot to be in. I think being assertive in male dominated spaces, not being afraid to like speak up and make your point and participate in conversation. I wonder if there's a way that you don't redirect it back to yourself. You just, in those conversations, you redirect back to the facts of what the work is. So, for example, it's like, Evan and I are writing a show and someone's going, and we've written it together, and someone's like, oh, Ev, like the way your pilot starts is da-da-da, and you don't say anything. Right. But I like, that was my idea, say. I'd be like, oh yeah, when I was thinking about that, this just like to, you know what I mean? You just kind of like get yourself in there in a way that's...
I would never do that to you, Michelle.
I know you wouldn't.
I'd be like, well,
Of course, because you're normal. You're a functioning normal person. And this doesn't just happen in like male-female dynamics. Like people get weird about wanting praise.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, it is a tricky spot, because I wouldn't want you to stoop to their level and be like, no, like me.
Definitely don't want to, as you said, grovel. And there's I was talking with a friend earlier about this exact situation, because I was trying to figure out which questions we wanted to get to. And they made a really good point just about this kind of situation, which is, so this person is in an artistic field in photography, I should mention. I mean, like maybe that's not part of it, but they're in an artistic field. Maybe we'll cancel out that they're in photography, because I don't know if this is something that, but it is an artistic field.
That's good context.
And so a lot of the times, like, men who are in photography are seen as artists and women are seen as doing a hobby, kind of. It's like, even if they do the same work. So this kind of like, especially in like a skill like an art, like that kind of line, especially if they're a little bit older, a couple years older, which in this case, the guy is like 4 or 5 years older, or maybe even a year older than that. So it's like just that little window of difference. Like people probably take this guy way more seriously, just naturally, just because of like the societal lens in which we view art, men and women. And so he has a lot more, like he has a lot more work to do to undo the perception, and she has so much more work to do in the same way to be like, no, it's me. And it's like not fair for her to have to vouch for herself. So because he has so much extra power in this situation, like he should, like, this is his responsibility. You're totally right. But it's like, how do you let him know that? Or is it like, he's kind of like, I'm going to assume he's not a piece of shit. He's just unaware. Like maybe he's just a little bit, or maybe he is like an egomaniac who's like, yes, I'm the best in the world. She could never be here without me. Like, who knows? I don't know this fucking guy. I think
there's probably a middle ground. Right. I think we all can be, myself included, and it's something to be like constantly checking yourself on, is when you're working in any field, but I'll use the creative fields because that's my only frame of reference.
Pretend we're writing partners still. You can keep going.
Okay, I like this game. There is ego attached to creativity because it's so personal, right? And so, and because there's a little bit of a scarcity mindset, unfortunately, in the arts, that exists in a lot of spaces, but like in the arts, it's really present. There's so much competition. So even if you are established or ahead, or you do have some power, maintaining that power and growing that power is always at the forefront of your mind. And so you get blinded by that sometimes, and you forget to just be, again, a normal functioning human being who's following their ethics instead of their ego. And that's like really hard for everyone to navigate. But in a relationship, you have every right to say to your partner, I'm picking up on this energy. I don't like it. It makes me feel small. I know what my value is. And you get to determine what that is and how you communicate that. I don't know what your guys' dynamics are necessarily, or like what project you're talking about, but you're allowed to voice that. And that doesn't make you like, that doesn't make you kind of ungrateful. I don't know if this person's giving you opportunities that you might not have had. I don't care. Like if you're doing the work, your work needs to be validated.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what you should do is just leave a dozen Yelp reviews under fake names that are specifically calling you out as the boss. Like, wow, that woman that I worked with in particular was amazing.
Can I also just say, somebody who's done some photo shoots, I don't know what kind of photography you do, but God, working with a female photographer could not be better. Like I've worked with a lot of, and I'm generalizing, and there's obviously
there's some creepy male photographers. You can say it; they do exist. There's some creepy fucking dudes out there in the photography space. They're like,
photographers.
This wasn't supposed to be a nude shoot, but I'm thinking maybe we take a couple extra at the end here.
It's always that. It's like, you know what would be so much more interesting is if your top was off.
Yeah, it's like, oh, interesting. Like, is
wow,
it?
Okay, but there is a lot of, just so you know. There's such power, and like you kind of demand a space in a way that you may not even be aware of. I hope you are, but if you're not, women photographers, in my experience and through my lens, I'm always going to be more comfortable, more wanting to like open up, more willing to collaborate. Like you do have interesting power because, especially if you're photographing models, like it's usually going to be girls. It's going to be more girls than it is guys. So just like kind of know that and use that to your advantage. Like play to your strengths. You make people more comfortable. You're not a creep. You're not an egomaniac. Like these are all strengths and they're going to take you far. So just know that too.
Yeah. It's really nice to me that you're just looking for the way you frame it. Is you're not even putting this on him at all, which is crazy to me. Like the fact that you don't even suspect him as being the issue, and you're just like, I'm just looking for confidence. Like, but isn't that an interesting lens? Like that she's even seeing this.
It's very generous.
It is. She's a generous person,
and there is. I mean, God, Jared Keeso and his wisdom. No mystique, big mistake. You don't need to like. You don't need to say everything. You get to just do your work, put yourself out there. But when you are in positions where someone's like complimenting work to another person that you did, you get to correct them. That's not you being a bitch. That's not you being out of line. And if the other person doesn't correct and you have to be the one to do it, that's crazy. You look good and they would look like an idiot. Just so you know.
It's like every time I see, there's always this character in like a romantic comedy, and it's always the boyfriend who she's with before she gets with the person she should be with.
I know.
And it's always like the guy who you're like, he's so obviously wrong for her. He's not even celebrating her, or like complimenting her photo. Like, why is he taking all the credit? And you're like, you shouldn't be with him. But like, we're not saying that necessarily because we don't know this guy. But maybe. This could be the Lars of serendipity. This could be the flute playing.
Like, if Connor and I were out, and somebody came to me like, I love the podcast. I'm picturing this person saying it to just Connor. No,
Connor, no. I love the podcast. That'd be so funny. Like you're the voice. And just
I'm like, wait, what? I'm literally on the poster.
Yeah, what's going on? Guys,
no,
Michelle's ego is out of control.
If they said that to me, like, it sounds so good. And I went, thank you.
Just didn't say it. Just stopped.
And Connor's
the sentence
right here.
Full stop. He's like,
Connor would be like, oh.
He also wouldn't say anything.
No,
but Connor wouldn't.
But he might, if it happened more than once.
Would he say it to you later?
He might be like, okay. Like, or he would just be like, I don't think I like you. Like,
right. Like, why are you being a jerk?
Yeah. Like, that's just so bizarre. It's just it's socially strange. I guess it happens more often. You know, people like credit, people like power. This is like not uncommon, but it is strange. It's strange.
It's strange. It's strange. I want an update on this for sure.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love it if you could update us.
Update us after maybe you bring it up to your partner.
Yeah,
I don't think you'd be writing in if this was just a one-off. Like if this is a pattern, you have every right to bring it up and be like, it's making me feel weird and as if I have to defend myself, and I don't want to do that, especially in professional spaces. Like that feels inappropriate.
Totally. And if your partner is listening right now, I just want to say, if you feel like this might be you that we're talking about,
fix it.
Why don't you give your partner some more credit publicly? I think that's a good first step.
Yeah.
If you think it's you, even a little, if you're suspecting this could be you, get ahead of it.
And reminder, working with other people, being collaborators is a strength. It doesn't make you less talented.
No, you're not weak because you have people who like working with you and to make good stuff with you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's hard to collaborate.
It's really hard to collaborate. And if you're collaborating with somebody and it's working, my God, what a blessing.
Especially your partner. My God, don't give that up. Don't be a goof. I mean, don't goof this, bro.
yeah, don't goof this. Okay, well, yeah, confidence, you know, I don't know. How do you get confidence? I don't know if I really believe in that. I think you just like, you do what you like to do, which is obviously photography or creative, like focus on the work, focus on the craft. Being good at something naturally brings confidence. You can't just like do things to create confidence. I think that's a fallacy. I think you just have to know who you are and know what you like and pursue it and be around people that are supportive of you.
Confidence is built through like a regular living of life. It's not really like this like overnight, like do a daily affirmation and then all of a sudden you have confidence. Like that doesn't ever work. It's like really, it's like treating yourself well and with respect over time gives you confidence.
It's also like, you gotta kind of trick yourself. If you think that me wearing swimsuits on camera in high def for 8 years was just like super, like I felt so good in that and I just was no, I had to be like deep breath, pretend, like here we go. Like I didn't feel confident at all. I had to trick myself into pretending I was and it worked. So that's kind of the trick.
Maybe I'm against, I don't love big mistake or whatever the fuck you guys always say, but I do like fake it till you make it. I do think there is a level of truth to that one. You do have to be kind of like your own biggest fan a little bit in order to get through this industry. And
I know that's like the mystique thing is not, but I just meant you don't have to oversell yourself. Like you don't have to.
No.
You know, it's like, what's the...
Yeah, you don't have to be the cockiest person on the internet. You just have to believe in yourself.
Talking.
Yeah, don't like, talk about yourself too much. I never
don't talk in general too much.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. No.
So the podcast.
Yeah, we're just screaming. Just don't speak at all.
Talking over each other. I love this question. I would love an update, and I'd also love to see your photography. So Evan, please send me this woman's personal information so that I can scope her.
I actually have her website. I'll send it to you right now.
Okay, this is great.
Also, I should probably let her know that like we answered her question, just in case people can't even tell that I've answered their question. Do you know what I mean? Like, just in case, like,
a person you know.
No, I should just like respond to the email and be like, "Hey, we answered your question," just in case she like. But
then we have to go back and do that with everybody.
Yeah, I could do that too.
Are you?
We got an update from the Germans. It was so sweet. It was so cute.
We?
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Okay, one thing I wanted to say real quick, just before I forget, because this is like one of those. On the live tour, I remember Roger was doing like a documentary, like behind the scenes that no one ever saw or whatever.
Right.
And I remember at one point, he was like, Evan, you're going to host this for a bit. Like, I'm going to follow you around. You're going to like introduce everybody. You're going to like say things about people. We found Keeso like putting on a microphone like downstairs or whatever. And I'm like whispering into the camera. I'm like, no mystique, big mistake. Like he's not going to like this. And I like to this day, I'm like, that's why the documentary doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's your fault.
Because I'm like razzing on that one quote. And that's that quote like always lives in my head. It's such a funny quote because it only works for some people. Like it really isn't for everyone. Because some people really do need to like
get out there.
Especially like when it's on the social. Yes, like I'm the opposite of that.
This is why you're so rattled by this because you're like, I'm so out there on the internet that I can't possibly identify with this at all, and it makes me feel bad.
Yeah, it's like there's no part of me has mystique. I am no mystique, all mistake. Like I am everything out there, gross and icky, and you can see it all. I
disagree. Actually, I think I do think that you're a performer, you're performing. So when you're doing these TikToks, like when we're doing this podcast, there is a performance piece that, you know, it creates a bit of a separation. I think you are really good at towing the line because you're really charming and you don't overshare in a way that like is uncomfortable or makes it feel too something. Like I think you do it well.
Right. This is why we have a podcast together. It's worth everything, you saying it. So thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome. I don't have a lot of mystique. I don't know. I post pretty regularly.
You don't think you have a lot of mystique? I think you also have that kind of half and half thing. You're like, you post the occasional thing and you post a goofy behind the scenes, but it's not like you're out there gushing on the internet all the time about stuff that like, no. There's some people, they post a lot of stuff that you're like, you shouldn't post that.
Shut up.
You shouldn't post that thing.
Yeah. I mean, everyone gets to interact the way they want, I guess. Totally. But I just think people that know what they bring to the table don't overspeak.
Sure.
And that's just something to keep in mind. And I notice in myself when I'm nervous, I'll yammer on and on and on and on. And it's always coming from a place that isn't very secure. So
when you lose your fucking mind in an interview or something, and somebody asks you a question and you start talking and you're like, what am I saying? And you're just trying to bring it back to the point that you were originally making, but you can't even remember the original point. Like that, there is a kind of like losing your fucking mind that happens there.
No, it's hysterical. It's like, so Michael Cera, I remember one time was like, because I have this problem when I've done interviews where because I can kind of operate from a lower frequency with people, I'm worried that I come across as like morose or uninterested or whatever. Right. So I'm mindful of being like bubbly and like trying to match, like energy match. But what Michael Cera was saying in interviews, like your two choices are that you kind of come in like as yourself, which is going to be a lower energy level than the interview who's trying to like make this entertaining. And so you kind of look like a dipshit, or sorry, no. A
dickhead. You look like a douchebag.
You kind of look like, so you come in with lower energy, so you kind of look like a dick, or you energy match and then you look like a dipshit because you're like insane. Hysterical. And this has happened to me in every interview. I think I've gotten better, but I did this one that honestly traumatized me. I did a written interview. So how could that go wrong? Well, with Forbes magazine. Which is like
you're already like, I'm a businesswoman. Let's go.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. But the guy, he does like the entertainment and side.
Oh, I know this guy. Nice guy. Yeah, he's lovely. Totally. But he's got a wild vibe. He's like very like cool and very kind of like, it's almost like a band guy, right?
Yes, he's very. He's wearing like a jean jacket and like a ripped Metallica tee.
I know exactly
and he's great. And he loves dogs. I really like this guy, and he's a great journalist. And we did an interview over Zoom that was me. I fully energy matched. And because it was written, I made the dumb assumption that it was going to be not paraphrased, but like edited to kind of translate from person to person conversation to a transcript, which is a very different way. Correct? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yes.
So because I was nervous and I entered dipshit territory, he writes what I say. I think as you like, I guess ethically have to do word for word. So every like.
Yeah, when it's all out there for you to see.
I was just like, oh, I'm an idiot.
Bro, you couldn't soften some of these edges for me? You can fucking
like help me out, my guy. Oh my God. I'm like, what am I saying? And it sucked because it was newer days of Letterkenny and I was hyper aware of being the only kind of quote unquote lead female, even though it's not true, but the one that was getting interviewed at the time against all these men. And I remember calling my dad and I cried because I'm like, I sound like an idiot. And the last thing I want to do is be perpetuating this horrible, like, idea women actors are inherently kind of stupid and just like happy to be here. And I was so upset because I feel like, look, I'm no academic, but I'm not an idiot. And I was so disappointed in myself. It sucked.
No, but that's so not on you because it's like you've never done this before. It's a new thing. Like, also, we don't know.
Pretty bad.
We don't know what our language looks like like in a transcription, like literally word for word. Like everyone sounds stupid when you record their voice and then put it on paper. Like it sounds like I don't know, like I like enjoyed like my time here, like.
Yeah, it was that.
Can I Google your?
Sure.
I'm just going to Google it really quickly.
Yeah, it was just it didn't sound like me. And again, it was a good learning experience because I was like, okay, take a fucking breath. It's kind of maybe better to look like a dick than it is to look like you're a cheerleader, a hysterical person who doesn't know how to speak English properly. As far as I'm concerned.
Do you think this would have been in, do you think this would have been like
2017 or something? 2016? No, 2017, 2018 probably.
Oh my God. Could this, Michelle also said referring to her opening. Oh yeah. Got it. Is this it? Let me see if this rings any bells.
Oh great. Here we go.
Let's see if this is in the world. Did you know everybody when you went in? The reason I ask is it feels like the troupe in the Christopher Guest movies like Best in Show and Waiting for Guffman. Michelle, my lad. Well, that's a huge compliment. But I didn't know any of the guys or ladies. Some of the guys, a few of them, had played on a beer league hockey team in Vancouver. They were all kind of actors in Vancouver. Jared and Nate, Wayne and Derry were good friends and had done the Letterkenny. This doesn't feel bad. This doesn't feel like that. Maybe this is like later. This is 2021.
No. Oh.
You've learned by now.
Yeah,
this
that's
is like
a later
you
one.
At the height of your power. There's not a single like or in here. You are fucking just like, this is Forbes as well. You're destroying this.
But I can still tell that I'm a little bit like, Jared and Nate, Wayne and Derry, like overdoing it. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, but this
Even
is like
2021. It's a constant thing. Like when I get nervous, my energy goes really low. I like go in shutdown mode, and I noticed this in auditions too. Like when I was doing in-person auditions, when we used to do that.
Yeah.
My energy would fucking tank. And so I'd have to work really hard to get up to like a performance level. But in interviews, that's actually really counterintuitive and you shouldn't do that.
Don't get too energetic in an interview.
Don't get energetic.
Especially if it's going to be like written.
But anyways, whatever. There's a lot of chit chat over this. But yeah,
it's funny.
so
I really
I think
having
a bit of a quieter, I'll try to find it. Maybe it's been
maybe it's been scrubbed from the internet, like the New Metric and Bell were like, we got to get this off.
Yeah. God, honestly, I would understand if they did that. But yes, circling back to this photographer, thank you for the question. These were great questions. And I think, you didn't read them word for word. You just kind of like summarized them. Why did you do that?
I did it because I believe that people have the best of intentions when they submit questions, but I am good at summarizing the essentials. And I think it just, I just think it ends up presenting it in a more like, it's more accessible to the listener if you can kind of like understand the heart of the question and then just kind of ask it in like getting all the important parts down. It just feels like we're, because
it's a fun style. I like your style.
Thanks. I appreciate that. It's mostly just something that I think it's probably my like punch up brain. That's like, well, we don't really need to know that you love the show. Obviously you love the show. Why are you writing in? Anyway.
But I will say if I had done that with the last question, I might have completely skimmed over BFI and we wouldn't have that in.
We've never gotten BFI.
Incredible.
Oh, listen.
Back and forth around
you and I operate on different worlds of thought, which is why we're a good team. Okay, I don't want you to change how you're doing things.
Oh, I won't, and I don't want you to change yours.
Perfect, because it sounded like you were criticizing me for a second.
No,
it sounded like
I loved it. Okay. I loved it, but I just was curious because sometimes I do like to hear people's voices, though.
Mm-hmm. I turn everybody's voice to my voice because I'm a raging narcissist.
Well, you're a bit of a control freak, but that doesn't come from a bad narcissist. I think it comes from a panic place.
I'm trying to protect them. I'm trying to make it so that the question isn't boring and that there is like, we only get the important stuff and the listener doesn't go, okay, Evan, get to the point.
Right.
I never want that to happen.
Well, something to think about.
My sister-in-law said the other day that this is the only podcast she doesn't need to listen to on 1.5 times because our voices are naturally at 1.5 times.
So, well, we're at a Letterkenny pace kind of just in general. I think we do speak quicker than
we speak very quickly. If you go listen to a This American Life after one of these, you're like, whoa.
Right. We're like
this is very calm. Yeah.
Okay, well, this was a great episode, Evan. It was really nice to see you. I feel like we're coming at this episode from a healthier place, and I like that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Let's do the next episode literally in the middle of the night. Get those giggles out. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, let's do some sleepover giggles. And I don't know, maybe next episode we'll have a guest. Maybe the episode after we'll have a guest. Guys, we're going to have guests in season 2. Don't worry. We're really excited to have them.
I think you're right. Let's reach out tonight. Let's do it. Let's get a guest.
Let's reach out. And as always, please email some more questions because we've gone through a lot of them and some of them that are left behind are just a little bit too inappropriate. So toe the line. Like we like some gross stuff, but some of them have maybe pushed it. So
wow, I really want to read those questions. I don't even know which ones you're referring to. I can't wait to read those.
And as always, like, subscribe, comment. It really helps. And we'll see you guys again next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye, Evan.
Bye.